Welcome to A Plan to Can. I'm going to show you how to water bath can some taco sauce from start to finish. I'm going to show you exactly what I do, the whole process, so you can learn how to can. It's really easy, and this is just the simplest recipe so you can start your canning journey. Please don't be scared. It's really fun and really easy. And this is a collaboration hosted by Jeni at Jeni Scratch Made Kitchen and Beth at the Miller Life Kitchen. And they are even going to do a giveaway at the end of the month on March the 3rd on Beth's channel. So I'll have all that information linked down below. And I'm going to share with you 2 videos this month. This first one is going to be an easy water bath recipe for a taco sauce. I'm going to show you from the beginning when I just start to the end when everything's done. I'm going to kind of go over some of the things that I have here that you might need on your plan to can. So what you're going to need for this one is a recipe. And I really recommend this Ball Blue book. This is the daddy of them all. This is the Ball Blue book, the original. This one is the newest version that came out a couple months ago. And it's got 40 new recipes. You might be more familiar with the older one. This one is the older one. And you can see it's well used. I've got all my little notches there. But this one is one of the ones I use almost exclusively. These 2 are the Bible, and I've also got another Bible here. This one is the Bible too, but this one is different. Those are from Ball, and this one is from the Cooperative Extension, the University of Georgia. So, but all of these are online, and make sure you get the newest version too. There's been some changes, and I'll have that down below, but all of these are on the internet, and these are all really simple and easy beginner recipes that anybody can do. They have, all of them have water bath recipes and pressure canning recipes. They also have freezing, fermenting, things like that. Some of them have recipes. So this one you want, or you can even print it off. I'll have all that information down below and make your own book. But I always go to this every time I want something from the internet or I need to look at something quick. I will go on their website and I will show you that too. There's 2 other books. This one is kind of the intermediary of them all. They have the some of the other recipes, but they have 400 in here, and they're kind of like the intermediate. So you want to get this one too if you want some different recipes, but still have the basics too. So highly recommend this one, the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. Get that one. And I also love this one. This one is kind of a splurge. Turn it right side up. But this one says the all-new Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. 350 of the best canned, jammed, pickled, and preserved recipes. Great recipes in here. It has one of my favorites, the barbecue pork. It has a sloppy joe. Those are 2 great ones. It's got pie filling, apple butters, salsas. They have really good salsas in here. Barbecue sauce, stir fry sauce. It gives you the recipe, and it gives you a recipe to use that canning item in the recipe. It is a great book. Mexican tomato sauce. It even has pickling recipes. It has sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. I cannot wait to try kombucha. I love kombucha. It's got vegetables here, and you can make your own like vegetable in a jar. Curried carrots, herb carrots, Mexican corn, succotash, honey ginger carrots. I want to try those too. Balsamic beans, herb potatoes, chipotle potatoes, Mediterranean potatoes. So chicken bone broth, French onion soup. This is an amazing book too. So if you have it in your budget, get this one too. It's got some good recipes. So once you get your recipes and then you find your ingredients. So I'm going to get my ingredients together and I'm going to wash my jars and everything, but I'm going to go through all my equipment over here. Our water bath recipe for the taco seasoning, we're going to just do a water bath. And you want a big pot. You want at least a pot that will cover your jars. You want water to cover your jars by 2 inches, and we'll go over that more in depth. But I've got a pot here. I splurged and got this from Ball, but you don't have to. But I love this pot. You can cook in it. You can can in it. it does come with a rack. You can, they usually come, or I think they come with racks, and you can just lower it down. Put your jars on there and lower it down. I really don't like to use this. If you have a pressure canner, you have a rack. And I like to use the rack and just put it down in my pot if you have a big enough pot. And just put it in there. You want something down at the bottom to protect your jars. You don't want them sitting on your at the bottom of the pot. I've seen places that say that you can use a towel. Don't use a towel. It did not work for me. But if you take these, you can take some of these extra rings and put them together and tie them with a bread tie, and you can fit that down on your pot and sit them on top of there. Or if you're using bigger jars, you want the bigger lids, but you can usually, it's better to take the smaller ones and just tie them together. You could even use a zip tie. Just tie them together and put them down and make your own rack. But I've seen them on Amazon really cheap, so just get whatever kind of rack you like, or just use the same thing or use the one that came with your pot. And jars, I like you use the mason jars. You want to make sure that they say mason on there. And here is a wide mouth jar. This is a quart jar. This is a wide mouth pint. Regular mason jar with the regular mouth. That one was a pint, and this one is a quart. And in this recipe, we're going to use half pint jar. So this is a half pint jar. It's a jelly jar. So I'm going to use that. So here are the rings. Here is the small rings and for the regular mouth, and the big rings for the wide mouth. You never want to use your lids after you've used them. So only use these one time. You can use the rings forever or until they rust, but do not reuse your lids. And this is the wide mouth lid. And here's a box of the small one. I've got to go get some wide mouth lids because I'm out. So luckily I'm going to use the small jar, so I'll use the small. And I've got a ton of these. I've got this tool. I don't remember what you call it, but it will help you with your headspace. You've got a fourth, a half, 3/4, and 1 inch headspace. Usually don't use the 3/4, but that will help you with that. And it'll also help you when you need to get all the bubbles out. Use that as a debubbler. I guess that's what you'd call it, a debubbler tool. But this thing is, you need that. And you need this. This is the lifter tool, the jar lifter. I do not like those cheapy ones you get in that one set. This one has lasted so long. That other one's been broke that I bought. So this really helps you when you're taking your jars in and out. Love this thing. I have this. I have these rings on this cheapy little paper towel holder, so that works really well. So, all right, we got our recipe. I'm going to show you my recipe. I've got my tools here, so I'm going to get my jars. I'm going to wash them with some really hot soap and water. I'm also going to wash my rings, my lids. I'm going to wash my tool right here, wash that, and I'll get everything done like that. And we'll come back and we'll start on the recipe. All right, y'all, now it's time to make the recipe. Here is the taco sauce recipe, and I will have it printed down below in the description box. And it's on page 91 of the Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving. So we're going to go through and show you what all the ingredients are. We've got vinegar, cider vinegar. We've got light corn syrup, 2 12-ounce cans of tomato paste, some chili powder. I've got some canning salt. Use canning salt or kosher salt. Don't use iodized salt. We've got chipotle powder, and we've got some hot sauce. And you could leave the hot sauce out, but it didn't make it hot at all, so I left it in. And this is the vinegar that I'm using, and you have to have 5% acidity for your vinegar. Make sure that is very important to canning. So now I'm going to put in my tomato paste. I've got 2 cans here. It calls for 3 cups. So 2 12-ounce cans make 3 cups. So I'm going to put that in my pot, and we're going to cook this down. So I'm going to add my tomato paste, and I'll add the spices, chili powder, the salt. I'm adding in the hot sauce, and also adding in that chipotle powder. It calls for just a pepper, but I'm going to put that in instead. You can always put in dry spices, but you want to make sure that you don't put in anything that's not dry, and it will intensify the flavor when you can it. So I'm putting in 5 cups of water, and I always use the bottled water. I don't use it out of my tap, and that's just because I have city water and it has fluoride in it, so I try to use bottled water for this. So I'm going to add in my vinegar after I've got the water incorporated into the taco sauce. I got that mixed in really well, and I'm going to add in the corn syrup. Stir that around and get that mixed in well, and then we're going to bring it up to a boil, and we're going to let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes until it gets thick. So I washed my lids and my rings. I like to keep some hot water and keep my rings in there. You don't have to do that. I've got a wet paper towel to wipe the rim, a funnel, and my tool there, and my jar lifter. So now my sauce has simmered for 30 minutes, so now we're going to start. I've got my hot jars, and I'm going to get my hot jars out and put it on the counter. I always like to put it down over a paper towel just so it cuts down on the mess. I also sometimes use a bowl underneath it too to catch everything. And I'm going to use my funnel and put that hot sauce in my hot jar, and I'm going to try and see if I have a half of an inch headspace. So that's about the middle of the stair step. I needed just a little bit more, and you can add in more, and if you have too much you can just take a spoon and take some out. And then I'm going to get all the air bubbles out, and then I'll see if I'm at the right headspace again, that way if I need more, because sometimes when you do use that tool you'll need more of your product in there. But that was perfect. So I'm just going to wipe the rim of the jar with my wet paper towel so there's nothing between the jar and the seal, so it makes sure it will seal. So now I've got my lid and my ring on there. Do not turn it really tight, you just want it fingertip tight, just barely closing. And that's it. That's your first jar right there. So just put that in the hot water and keep going until you've got all your jars. And you don't want to just set your jars out and fill them up and then put them in there. That's called staging. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have a hot jar and hot product. Too many things can go wrong, so I suggest that you go by the rules like I do and just do one jar at a time. And I hardly ever have something not to seal. So you're just going to repeat the process. Get your hot jar, put your hot product in there, and we're going to do half an inch headspace. Get out all that air bubbles out, wipe the rim of the jar, and then put your lid and your ring on. And it's okay if you want to write notes. Get a notebook. I have like a place where I can write on the side of my refrigerator, and I'll just make notes. I'll put the recipe on there, and you can just put this process on there and make sure you go down each one and check everything off. But it's really easy. So I'm going to put my lid on and ring on and put it in the hot water, and we'll get done with that. And I had some left over, so I'm just going to put that in the fridge. And I also had more jars than it said, so that was a bonus. But make sure you have extra lids and rings and jars ready. I'm going to put my water over the top. I said 2 inches of water, but it says 1 inch. So you can go 1 inch. That's 1 inch right there at the bottom of that stair, or the top of that stair step. But I like to add in about 1.5 inches over, especially when it's going to go for 30 minutes. This will go 30 minutes in the water bath, so I want to make sure that I've got enough water in there. So I'm going to turn my heat up to about medium high. I'm going to put my lid on there and wait till it comes to a rolling boil, and then I'll start the timer. So now it's up to a rolling boil, so we'll start the timer and we'll put it on 30 minutes. And after the 30 minutes, we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to open up the lid and let that sit for 5 minutes, and then we're ready to take them out and put them on a towel. When you get these out, make sure you lift straight up. You do not want to tilt it over a little bit to get that water off, because that will evaporate. Just make sure you don't lean it over, because that could affect the seal. So just lift them straight up. That water will evaporate in just a few minutes, so that will not hurt anything. So put it on your towel and make sure you put them somewhere where they're going to sit for 12 hours undisturbed, and you don't want to have any kind of draft to affect the seal as well. So now we've done it. We've got our taco sauce, and all we have to do is wait 12 hours to see if they seal, and we'll come back and check them in 12 hours. Okay, it's been 12 hours and every one of the jars sealed. I like to press down and make sure you don't hear any noise. Make sure it is sealed completely. I always do that, and then I'll take the rings off and then check them again just to make sure. Kind of pull up on the lid to make sure it doesn't come up. And you did it. You water bath canned some taco sauce. I'm telling you, this is an easy recipe that anybody can do, and they will stay on your shelf for at least 12 to 18 months. Please don't be scared, and I will help you any way I can if you have any questions about the process. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I really love to can, and I love sharing these videos with you so I can teach someone else to do it, because I didn't have anybody to teach me, and I really love it. I wish I wouldn't have waited so long to learn how to do it, but I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. I will have Jeni's and Beth's channel linked down below in the description box. Make sure you watch all the videos and comment so you can be entered to win that canner. It's going to be a pressure canner they're giving away on March the 3rd on Beth's channel. I will have all that information linked down below in the description box. So I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all in the next video where I'm going to do some pressure canning, and hope you'll join me then.